and processes and methods, like the adoption of control systems which are fully automated. Also, the metal fabrication equipment market is expected to grow at an exponential rate moving forward as the world moves towards industrialization owing to the growing population and growing globalization. However, if you look at the fabrication industry, it has faced many challenges in the recent past. There are pressure on the organizations to modernize, automate, and update across the board, from their IT systems to software on the shop floor equipment and machineries, alongside upskilling their workforce. This has been coupled with the onslaught of pandemic in the last couple of years has brought another set of challenges for the industry. Moving on to the Indian steel sector, well, I can say that we have traveled a long way from almost 21 million tons in 1991. In the last 3 decades, we have now crossed more than 120 million tons. We are on the verge of closing. For the current financial year, we would be again 120 million tons in a year. If we look at the India in the trade perspective, we are both in terms of the production as well as consumption 6% of the global market. That's include China, and if I exclude China, it is more than 12% for the Indian market. So as you all know, we are the second largest producer as well as consumer of steel, and there are a lot of collaboration opportunities between the India and the UAE in the steel fabrication market. Depending on the applications as well as on the end usages, different type of steel products are produced in India, like including structural steel, reinforced bars, steel plates, hot roll coils, etc. India offers a strong portfolio of products across several applications to cater to the fabrication industry of UAE. Also, I would like to highlight that policy initiatives like SEPA, and I was also discussing during the lunch with few people that with the SEPA coming in, there would be kind of more facilitated exports from Indian producers towards the UAE region that will facilitate the mutually beneficial relationship between the two. Fabricators can leverage India's capabilities in the steel sector, the services and the automation that we have in our steel mills for better quality products across the board. I believe this is an apt platform for local players to discuss around mutually beneficial opportunities with the leading steel players from India, while also identifying ways and means to address the challenges that they have been facing in the recent past and gearing up for the future. I wish the program a very great success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta, for giving the opening remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to invite on stage Mr. V.R. Sharma, co-chair of the FICCI Steel Committee and Managing Director, Jindal Steel and Power Limited, to deliver the context setting.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar. Assalamu alaikum. The steel fabrication industry, this particular topic is a very hot topic today. In Middle East, if you see, there were two companies. One was Kirby. They started in Kuwait. Then another company came, the Saudi-based company. Finally, AIC, Tiger Steel, Al Jamil or Jamil Steel. So these companies, they were very prominent during late 80s and early 90s. The another company came in this country, and then finally they moved out of UAE. That was Cleveland Bridge. They were located in Jebel Ali. So all this fabrication, it started in this part of the world because the designers, the structural engineers, the architects, they thought that this is the future. And we are seeing so many buildings today here in UAE, basically built on a raft of concrete, but of course on a on a steel structure. Finally, the glitter of fabrication from plates that got receded, and they started using either the rolled beams or the square pipes and rectangle pipes. So rolled beam, first the plate fabricated structure, then a rolled beam structure, and now the square and rectangle pipes fabrication. I think that's the future. The plate based manufacturing is now very expensive, because plate itself, the cost of plates about $1,200, $1,300 a ton, and then finally doing fabrication means another $400 to $500 a ton. Painting, bolting, everything put together about $200 a ton. So it reaches to about $2,000 a ton, which is quite expensive. So in times to come, the plate based fabrication will recede away. It will not be there. Then what else? The next is rolled structures. Rolled structure, the ESI has come here in this country. They started manufacturing rolled structures up to 1050 or 1100 web size, quite good size. So in the entire region, their range is the highest or the best, I would say. In India, in JSPL, we do up to 900 millimeter web size, whereas in UAE, they do about 1000, 1050, and few sizes of also 1100. So it's a good size. Now the next is coming the square and hollow pipes, square and rectangular pipes, the RHS. The RHS, there is a revolution now. Not many companies in the world, they are in the RHS business, but this is the line which will come tomorrow. We in Jindal, in JSPL, we are putting a line where we will be producing 600 by 600 millimeter size of square pipes. Rectangle will be 800 by 500, then 500 by 400, 500 by 300, 300 by 300, 200 by 200, 250 by 150, 300 by 150. And then we'll be looking to how to produce 800 by 800 and 1000 by 800. So that will be phase 2. So this phase 1 will be in operation, I think, in next 18 months time, where we'll be producing 800 by 600 in 22 millimeter thickness. So this is a huge thickness, 22 millimeter, and minimum thickness will be 6 millimeter, and the maximum thickness of this mill will be 22 millimeter. Nippon Steel is already producing 800 by 600 by 25 millimeter, but they are producing not through the continuous mill, they are producing by 2C mechanism. So one formation channel, the another channel put together, welded on both sides, and that becomes 800 by 800, even 1000 by 1000 also one can do. In India, the first mill of such similar kind was installed by APL Apollo in Raipur. So they are doing 500 by 300, 500 by 400, 500 by 500, and now they'll be doing 600 by 500 and 600 by 400. They're very good sizes. So 10 years from today, I think the entire world will switch over to tubular structures, and that is the future. So we, though we manufacture plates, we manufacture hot rolled coils. Most of the mills, whether JSW or Steel Authority of India or ArcelorMittal, Jindal Steel and Power, we all are in Tata Steel, we all are in hot rolled coil business, high strength steel, carbon steel, low carbon, medium carbon. But finally all this steel will be used for the tubular structures, and very small quantity will be used for the plate fabricator girders and structures, which is specially for the power plants or for the hydrocarbon business, where the web is 2 meters or something like that. So there it is mandatory to use plate fabricated structure. Now the next is what? The next is how to reduce the steel consumption. So it will be little odd when I speak like this. So I am advocating nowadays consume less. Consume less does not mean that we will deprive the market to that the steel is not available. No, it is not that. The steel will be available, but we have to find out how to utilize 12 millimeter instead of 16 millimeter, and how to utilize 15 millimeter or 16 millimeter as against 25 millimeter without compromising the strength. And this is where the role of all those elements that do come, whether it is right from manganese to vanadium to nickel, niobium, titanium. So these are the micro alloying elements, and then how to reach to the the thermomechanical quenching process steel, where we can increase the strength, increase the YS, increase the tensile strength to 900 to 1000 megapascal. So that is the time which is coming now. Most of the steel mills in India, they are working on this. We in Jindal Steel and Power, we are also working very extensively on this. We have put up a state-of-the-art quenching and tempering line, where we increase the tensile strength from 600 to 1000 megapascal, which is a very steep increase, and also for different applications. And then finally normalizing tempering, so that there is no failure, no rupture, and the building can sustain a longer duration, longer cycle. In India, there is a revolution, especially in down south. The fabricators, the structures, design engineers in Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, part of Bombay, they are now switching over from concrete structure to entirely steel structure. So this is a very positive sign. The other, in northern part in Noida and Delhi, the companies like Supertech, Mahagun, companies like DLF, they have also switched over from concrete buildings to the steel buildings. So this is a good sign. Then our Honorable Prime Minister, his dream project Vista, that is downtown in Delhi, that is a new parliament. So that is also steel structure. Then another big market which is offering for the steel fabricators, that is the defense market and the basic infrastructure. Like in the entire range of Himalaya along with the border of China and Pakistan, the country is, I think, going to build more than 100 bridges and culvert on rivers as well as in the tunnels. So this is again a very large market, and such kind of business supported by Government of India will open the new chapter for the steel fabricators. Now what are the challenges? Very simple, because steel is very expensive today. The expectation of structural engineers, designer is that we should, the commodity, the product should be affordable. But in last 2-3 months time, you have seen the energy has gone to different levels, the cost of energy, whether it is fuel. 2.5 years back in Corona 1, that is COVID 1, April, May 2020, it was at $2 for the high sea sale per barrel. And today we are talking $110, $120 per barrel. We are seeing that the gas was at about $2.5 to $3 per MMBTU. And today in India, the gas is about $40 per MMBTU. Coking coal used to be $100 per ton. It is now $670 a ton. Steam coal used to be about $60 a ton. It has reached to $300 a ton. So the entire world is driven differently by the energy companies. Be it coal, be it coking coal, steam coal, PCI, or the furnace oil, or the diesel, or whatever. So everybody is in trouble. The entire world, the 7.9 billion people, they are driven, or they are forced to pay more. So the solution is what? The solution is consume less. Don't consume too much. We try to consume everything today. Let us not do. Hold on. Consume less. Day for yesterday, Indian Oil in Sri Lanka, they increased the petrol price by 40 rupees per litre. I think in India also in next 2-3 days time, if not 40, then at least 20 rupees will be increased. So 20 rupees means 125 rupees per litre petrol. Here also it is now 3 drams per litre. This will reach to 4 dram, maybe 5 dram here in UAE, though you are sitting very near to the oil wells around. The another major issue today, when we start consuming more, that means the total and ecosystem is disturbed in the world. The ecosystem means the CO2 emission, the water consumption, then from mines to plants and plants to to the end user, everything is busy, and everything is busy at a cost of inefficiencies. Today, Margara port is 35 days waiting. Port in Barcelona is 25 to 30 days. Port, if you see the Brussels, again 25 to 30 days. All of the European ports are busy for 25, 30, 35, 40 days, including Antwerp. So why it is so? Because there is a war going on in the Black Sea. People want to transport goods from one location to another location through the Mediterranean, and finally taking it by trains or by trucks. That means everything is overloaded, overburdened. So what is the answer? Consume less. Don't consume too much. The entire world should consume less. Give a pause for 2-3 months, and then the entire world will settle. There is no point today taking steel to $2,000 a ton, and then tomorrow $3,000 a ton, and then $4,000 a ton. Nobody will be happy, neither the steel mills and nor the consumer. So the profitability does not increase when the steel prices are $2,000 a ton or $3,000 a ton, because the input cost, they are creating a havoc. It was the first time in the history that iron ore and coking coal prices about 8 months back, they were equalized, $220, $220. It never happened before. Today, as against a 1:1, now it is 1:3, 1:4, $150 is the iron ore price and $670 the coking coal prices. Now, why is it happening? We have to understand that also before we reach to the another level. Worldwide, people feel that coal is unfriendly. One side we see that the coal is unfriendly, and the other side there is no substitute to coal available in the world. Indian government, I'll be thankful to Honorable Prime Minister and the Cabinet. They didn't allow to blackout happen in India for the last 7 months. September onwards, there was a shortage of coal. Day in, day night, dedicated trains are moving from one location to another location, transporting coal so that the power failure does not take place. In India, the power consumption from 150,000, that is 1,50,000 megawatt per day, it has reached to 2,20,000 megawatt per day. Huge increase of power consumption. Ultimately, solution is what? Consume less. We have to find out how to consume less in today's time, and then gradually we consume more, because there is a lag in between consumption and the production. So that lag is killing the entire world. Unless we find a solution in terms of value addition and value engineering, we cannot do it. So if on x-axis we have the value addition, on y-axis we have the value engineering, so we have to find a balance in between two, maybe at 10 degree, 15 degree, not at 90 degree. So this is what we have to do. Coming back on fabrication is a great business. You have to see that how can you give the value addition with value engineering solutions. So the square pipes, rectangular pipes, these are the value engineering solutions. Don't just use plates and then finally tomorrow you end up with $3,000 or $2,500 per ton of structure, which people will not afford, or the consumption will reduce, because the moment the end customer finds that the concrete structure has become cheaper than the steel structure, then we ourselves create the competition for us. So 3 takeaways. 1, the future is for the tubular structures. The tubular structures will be in value added grade of tubular structures, where the thickness will be reduced, tensile strength, yield strength, elongation will be improved. More load bearing. Then the next is, till the time the world is uncertain, let us consume less. Not only the steel, I mean even for the domestic use, consume less cars, less petrol, less diesel, less electricity, save money. And let us not load the ecosystem with more CO2. Not many people will speak to you, consume less. It is a reverse theory, because when we speak consume less, that means we are thinking a negative growth, or we are trying to hold the growth. But it's better to put speed breakers on time than crying in future. Why do we want to consume the entire iron ore and coal in next 5 years time? We have to understand that. Why do we want to reach to 2,500 million ton of steel consumption in the world when the people are only 7.9 billion? So everybody needs one small house to live and maybe 4, 5, 6 cars to pass his life or her life, and maybe 1 or 2 houses. That's all. So the theory is what the sustainable theory is: we have to consume less. It doesn't mean that we will stop or will deprive people to not to meet out their wants and demands. We will have to, but through value engineering and value addition only. So last point here, the fabrication business is an excellent business. Please keep on thinking, and with the SIPA coming in, you can export the fabricated structure to India. So this will be a very good opportunity for the people, those who are working here and those who are going to have the manufacturing in UAE, because maximum structure will be consumed by the west coast of India, which is nearest to you. One more thing I'll tell you: if you go, there is a company called Hinjli that is in near Changshu in China. They have their dedicated vessels, and they transport the complete structure on their dedicated vessels, even 14 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters. The time has come for those kind of vessels. Those should ply in between UAE to India, UAE to Europe, UAE to anywhere in the world. So this will open a new chapter for the shipping industry, so that you can fabricate, you can drill holes, you can do the bolting wherever it is required, and then finally transport it to the west coast of India, right from Kandla to Cochin down south. So that will be easier. So the great business in times to come. And think how to switch over to tubulars as fast as possible, then utilizing the rolled structures or the plate structures. So that is going to give the real value engineering and value addition, and that's the business tomorrow. So UAE has a potential to become hub because of the ports, because of the land available, electricity available. Then you have the access to call any kind of raw materials here in this country. You can import from anywhere. Of course, there will be little additional cost when we compare with the Indian labor cost or vis-a-vis here, but that can be definitely nullified with the overall efficiencies. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma, for setting the context of the session. We will now have speakers from the local steel fabrication industry. May I now invite our first speaker, Mr. Senthil Kumar, Sales Director, Middle East Africa, Macatech Automation, to kindly share his presentation with us.
Good afternoon to everyone. It was it's pleasure meeting, talking to such a highly respected audience. Thanks to FCCI for arranging such a wonderful event. In today's presentation, I'm going to talk about the opportunity for automation of steel fabrication industry in India. So I just want to divide my presentation in two parts. The first part, I want to discuss about the current situation in India as far as automation is concerned, and what is the scope for automation in India, and then what are the solutions and benefits out of automation which you are going to provide to Indian steel industry. That's going to be in my first part. And in the second part, I'm going to discuss about what is a solution what we are going to provide from Macatech Automation. So as far as the need of automation for steel fabrication industry in India is concerned, the first thing which comes to my mind as just a while ago, Sri V.R. Sarma mentioned in detail about the trend of the steel fabrication industry in India. So we are going towards bigger growth, and where we are needing a lot of value added, and then energy conservative programs to which will help us in helping the development. The first thing is the government vision. As far as the government vision is concerned, right now we are talking about the current GDP. Right now we are talking about around 2.85 trillion dollars, and in the year of 2025 we are talking about 5.5 trillion dollars by 2025, and we are targeting at a GDP of 8.4 trillion by 2030. This is a ambitious goal set by our central government. To reach this ambitious goal, steel industry, which is going to be a major contributor, which is going to be like a main pillar of major infrastructure projects. As far as the steel fabrication industry is concerned, steel production is concerned in India, the current consumption rate is around 118 million ton per annum. This is based on 2021-2022 the statistics, and we are expected to reach a target of 300 million tons by the year 2030. So which means we need to double the production capacity by almost more than 1.5 time. So this is one of the case for need of automation. And in India, we are right now we are executing, we are undertaking a lot of high profile projects. So when I say high profile projects, even you might be noticed during the recent the budget, where Indian Union government have introduced a lot of big projects, which is a big scope for a steel fabrication industry. So we can talk about highways, bridges, railway projects. Even I can take an example of the bullet train. So if you consider the bullet train project itself, between two stations, we are talking about a steel volume of 20,000 metric ton volume of steel involved in one single, a couple of stations. And we are talking about 14 station between Ahmedabad to Mumbai. That's I'm talking about one single project. Likewise, there are several other major high profile projects are going to be involved, which is going to contributing to the GDP of 8.5 trillion by 2030 and 300 million tons of steel by 2030. So which means considering the high profile project, we are talking about hundreds of thousands of steel fabrication activities going to be involved in India in coming years. So that was one of reason where we need to look into the automation. The next thing is the man hours. How much man hours we are spending to produce per ton. In terms of Western world or in terms of the developed country, we are talking about the development of India, and we are already achieved a lot of development with respect to IT, defense and other industry. But when it comes to the construction industry, fabrication industry concerned, still we are lagging behind the developed countries. Okay, just for a simple example, if I want to consider the steel fabrication produced in the Western country per ton, they are spending around 12 to 15 man hours per ton. But at the same time, in India, we are spending something close to 40 to 50, even sometimes it may be higher than that. Okay, I'm just putting an average figure. It's in the range of 40 to 50 man hours per ton. That's what we are spending to make per ton steel fabrication. At the same time, not only we are spending more time to produce the steel, also we are spending more time in producing the steel, which means the delivery period, the lead time for each project is going to be delayed. Okay, so for instance, for producing 1,000 ton steel in Western developed countries, if it is going to take something like 1 week or a couple of weeks, in India it's going to be taking more than 4 or 6 weeks. There is a reason behind that, which we are going to briefly see how exactly we are going to overcome, where exactly we are lagging behind, and how can we provide a solution in addressing those the crises or the shortfalls. The next thing is the quality and consistency. Again, I can come back to the same the same project, like a bullet train project. In bullet train project, I hope you may be, since I'm away from India for last maybe 20 years, but some of you from India, and you are very well connected with the Indian contractors. For instance, for the bullet train project, where the JCI from Japanese consortium with the Indian there's a high-speed railway corporation they have been connected with, and as per the demand from JCI, they want to have someone like a highly qualified, highly automated fabricator to produce the structures for the bullet train projects. Okay, as per them, there are some more than 70 contractors are involved in the Indian railway project, but some of them they're not having that much capability automation compared to the contractors available in Japan. So which means we are still lagging, and we need to rise our level up so that we can able to undertake any high profile projects in India. And then the next thing is the skilled manpower. The skilled manpower, maybe we are living in a generation. In the subsequent generation, we will be feeling shortage of manpower. Maybe I can say the next couple of generation where you are going to find the real hardcore, the highly skilled employees like the welders, the fabricators, the fitters. But maybe after a couple of generations, you will be finding a difficulty in finding the real hardcore, the skilled labor. Since if I'm a welder, I don't want to see my child as a welder when he grown up. So which means we will be we will be having a shortage of manpower maybe after a couple of generations. There is going to be a gap after 2 generations, maybe after 20 years later. So which means we need to find a gap. So right now we have manpower to do the job, and after 20 years we don't have anyone to do the job, which means we need to bridge a gap. So the bridging gap is from where exactly the bridging gap is going to come. That's what automation is going to provide a solution. So through these are the reasons I propose that we need to have automation in place so that it can eliminate the human involvement, it can fix the human errors, it can increase the quality, it can increase the production rate, it can reduce the lead time. The next thing which I want to discuss is the current state of automation in India and the opportunity for investment towards the automation in India from investors from UAE as well as from India. So right now, based on my recent discussion only for this topic, I had a conversation with several of my friends and project managers from some reputed construction companies. Based on my discussion, what they are saying, the current level of automation is very low in comparison to the developed countries, which means we have still a big level of scope. Okay, so as far as the fabrication is concerned, we can invite the whole world to India for investment as far as the automation is concerned, which is going to be a big scope. As I told you in my previous slide, that we need to undertake hundreds of thousands of tons steel fabrication involved for the coming years, which is a big scope for the automation. So still we are processing the steel in a very conventional way. When I say we are processing the steel in a conventional way, I want to take an example of this particular picture. In this picture, what you are seeing here, it's a beam with which is having multiple operations like holes, the bevel, the coping, and then straight cut, miter cut, and some marking. To process this one single beam, if you do it the conventional way, maybe I'm talking about even if you're having a magnetic drill and as well as a manual coping, it's going to take a couple of hours, maybe let's say 120 minutes. The same thing, if you're automating it through a single machine, it's a single process machine, single stage machine, we could be able to execute it in less than 5 minutes time. You can see the difference, 5 minutes versus 120 minutes. That's going to be a huge big difference between the automation and this is what the developed countries are following as of today. So let's see the automation solutions. The automation solution, we cannot single-handedly figure out one single item. We need to see the automation as a wholesome approach. It's supposed to start from the concept to the engineering, to the procurement, to the fabrication, logistics, installation, and we should also give a thought about the overall management of the project. Okay, when I say engineering, right now, if I'm talking about producing 1,000 tons of steel, to produce 1,000 tons of steel, we may need to pass through thousands of drawings. Okay, right now we may be developing a drawing, maybe using the AutoCAD, and then it will be like go through a PDF or a printed page, and it will go to the fabricators. So which means each time we need to cross reference, or we need to refer to several detailed documentation, which can be before sending to the machine. Again, we need to create a separate part program to send to the machine to make to prefabricate the material. So through using the 3D modeling and CAD/CAM software and the flexibility of this software, we could be able to create the fabrication drawing, detailing drawing from the 3D model easily and send to the fabricators. Also to the machine, we can directly import the drawing files from the 3D models. It could be a Tekla or any of the 3D models. We can send directly from 3D model to the machines. So the machine is having the capability to read the drawings from the 3D models, and it can execute the job, which means we are completely avoiding all the human intervention in between the process. So which means we are avoiding the human error. So we can able to convert the simple CAD file versus the highly advanced DST file or IFC files, which is in the 3D model, which is in the 3D platform, and we can directly interface the machine to the 3D models. Also, we can able to do the project tracking live through the ERP software. And then the next thing, the big thing is the fabrication. So when it comes to the fabrication production, we need to start looking from the layout, okay, where we can able to eliminate the unwanted material handling. So the material handling is one of the key area where we lose a lot of man hours. Okay, as I mentioned to you earlier, we are spending a lot of man hours to produce 1 ton steel, around 40 to 50 man hours, out of which the major portion is going to be material handling. So the sample which I shown to you in the previous screen, where that particular beam needs to go through multiple processes. To handle each one of the process, conventionally we used to handle the material multiple times. So to do the job, we might have been handled the material more than 4 or 5 times. But if it is automation, just pick up the material from the storage area, put it onto the machine on the in-feed conveyor, just load the drawing file, press the start button. It's going to process everything, and you're going to get output the end product in a single shot in less than 5-6 minutes time. So which means material handling is happening only once. We are avoiding 4 to 5 times of material handling, and the production rate is much higher. Maybe I can say more than 10 times higher than the conventional method of processing the steel. And again, the optimizing the upgrade or update the processes. When I say update or upgrade the processes, I don't have much time, so that's the reason I cannot get into the detail. Just I can give a small information, one simple example. For instance, let's say when you're doing the welding, there are different welding processes available. Okay, when it comes to the developed countries, here we mostly follow like a semi-automatic or fully automatic, where we can able to we can deposit high at a less time. Okay, but in India maybe still we are doing like a manual or semi-automatic way. So just by tweaking the process, by converting the process from a manual to the semi-automatic to automatic to the fully flexible robotic automatic, we would be able to increase the production rate multiple times. So that's what I want to say from the point of update or update the processes. And then the optimization of resources. The next thing is the labor intense process needs to be replaced by the machinery intense process, and the increase of production rate and reduce the manpower. These are all possible with the implementation of automation. And at the end, we are going to eliminate all the human error, which is going to allow us reduce the repair rate, and which is going to increase again the production rate. So these are some automation solutions. The second part which I want to discuss from as a representative from Machitech Automation, I'm representing Machitech Automation. Machitech Automation, it's a Canadian company which was established 20 years back, located in Quebec region in Canada. We have 5 factories. These 5 factories are responsible to produce 5 different the fabrication equipments. So we have regional offices in USA, Canada, as well as in Middle East, in Sharjah. So the 5 products are: we manufacture the plate profile cutting machine, the pipe profile cutting machine, the beam profile cutting machine, the watershed cutting machine, the laser cutting machines, and all these machines is capable to interface with any 3D model. So from the 3D model, from the concept you develop the model, from the model itself we can able to directly interface with any one of these machines. So which means we completely eliminate the in-between manual activities, intervention. So manual error has been completely avoided, eliminated. So the first one which I want to briefly touch upon is the plate profile cutting machine. So with plate profile cutting machine, we have a complete range of machines starting from 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter. We can go for a size like a 6 meter by 90 meters. Even we can go for any customized size for different sizes. These machines are available for processes like plasma, oxyfuel, drilling, threading, marking, as well as pipe and tube cutting. And here I want to mention one thing. Here we could able to achieve a accuracy of 0.025 mm accuracy at the highest speed of 40 meter per minute. So these are like a very highly advanced machine what we have as of today in the industry. The next one is a pipe profile cutting machine. These are also like processing all the pipes, circular pipes up to pipe diameter like 48 inches for length, maybe 6 meter or 12 meters. Even we can go for any customized size. These machines are available with the plasma, oxyfuel and marking processes. Again, the accuracy level is 0.025 mm for a speed of 40 meters per minute. The next one is a robotic beam profile cutting machine. So with the robotic beam profile cutting machine, here with the one single machine, we could able to process a multiple material like a beam, square tube, rectangular tube, angles, channels, circular pipes, flat bar, bulb bar. All these material can be processed by one single machine. This machine in reality is replacing 7 conventional machines like your drilling, your bandsand machine, your angle line, your plate processing machine, your marking. Yeah, okay. So it can replace these 5-6 machines. So instead of 5-6 machines, we are going to use one single machine, which is completely automating the whole process. So the next slide, you can see all these operation is being done by one single machine. It talks about different material. The next machine is a laser cutting machine. Laser cutting machine, we have 4 different models for sheets as well as for rectangular, square, and the circular tubes and pipes. So with this note, I would like to conclude the session. And again, thanks for FICCI for giving me the excellent opportunity. And thanks for listening to me. Once again, thanks for the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kumar, for sharing a detailed presentation on opportunities for automation in steel fabrication industry. May I now invite our next speaker, Mr. Rakesh Gupta, Sales Manager, Cutting Edge Machinery, to kindly share his views with us.
Excuse me. Where is my presentation? Yeah, LVD. It's okay. Done. First of all, I would like to thank Ficky for inviting me to speak here about the fabrication machines. I would like to thank Mr. Sharma for giving us insight of the industry. Thank you very much, sir. And we will definitely follow your advice to consume less. Yes, that's a good idea at the moment when the industry is in a big zone. So I'm here to present about my company called LVD. Um, so first of all, I would like to explain in very brief about our motto. Like, okay, we discuss a lot about the production of steel and who bring this steel into the life. So this is our motto: bring bare metal to life. So I will start with the welcome all of you to the LVD group, and in next few minutes we will give you insight into LVD, what we do, in what industries we are active, where we are present in the world, some of our latest innovation and technologies, highlights, and most importantly what makes LVD the company that it is today. So first of all, I would like to start with who are we. So LVD is a family-owned Belgium company based in Holleham, established in 1952. LVD is managed by the second generation of three founding families, Mr. Lefebvre, Mr. Veneste, and Mr. Dulf. LVD is very proud of its humble beginnings and over the years as it has grown into international technology leading company. Throughout the company history, family values has remained at the core of the company's heart, and the keywords are family, root, history, location, international, technology, tender. So where we are active, the key industries, LVD has a very wide base of over 30,000 customers from many different industries. Product materialized by LVD touch your life in many more ways than you can imagine. And where we are active is the transportation, industrial and commercial machinery, defense, food and catering equipments, construction, XXL projects like wind power and the lighting poles, agriculture equipments, subcontract fabricated metal products, electronics, medical, scientific, commercial and domestic appliances, including the steel services centers. And what we do: LVD design and manufactures laser, punching, bending, shearing machinery and integrated software for sheet metal working. Creativity and innovation are crucial for LVD. In the next few slides, we show you key products and innovation that makes LVD one of the world leader in integrated sheet metal working technology, creating the pillars of Industry 4.0. So first product is our laser cutting machine, and I will not explain in big details because in the last seminar I explained you what are the products we have in laser. But as Mr. Sharma emphasized that the time is coming for the tube, so with the time shortage, I have not included the tube laser technology here, but I would like to inform Mr. Sharma and the audience that LVD is the first company in the league who has introduced the tube laser cutting machine with various capacities and with the various capacities in the thickness. Like we have machines up to 2 kilowatt where we can process the tubes like about 6 mm in thickness. And the YSD laser one is our entry level machine where we have 3 meter by 1.5 meter machine with 3 kilowatt and 6 kilowatt of capacity. And then we have a Taurus machine. A Taurus is a large format laser machine with not only 2D cutting, we have a facility of having a bevel cut in the laser cutting machine, and this is the first machine of its kind who can be built for the processing of 40 meters in length and with the 3 meter wide table. The latest after the laser, I would like to introduce a little bit about the punching capacity and the technology of LVD. We have a machine called PX, and then it is not just a punch press. The punch which can form, which can tap, and which can bend in all in one machine with the T-style tooling. The latest in the fleet is the combination of the laser and punching, and the series called Strip It PL. The Strip It PL punch laser offers two technologies in one machine. Strip It PL eliminates processes, reduces production time and material handling, and lowers the cost per part. Automation adds next level of productivity. So apart from punching and laser, LVD has got a big expertise in the bending machines, and since we are 70 years old company, and we have a very vast experience in producing the bending machines. And when it comes to the bending, Ultiform takes LVD's 10 by 10 rule for bending to the next level, art to part in just 20 minutes. Ultiform can process complex parts up to 800 mm by 1200 mm and 15 kgs in weight in various batch sizes. So after laser, punching and bending, there is a high requirement to integrate all these machines by the software, and we call it Cadman Suite. It's all about the process flow. Naturally, LVD Cadman solutions are complete in tune with the Industry 4.0. Quick response manufacturing and smart factories, and actually in some cases are ahead to the curve when it comes to fully optimized workflow for some small to medium sized batches. So this is in brief about the products, and finally what makes LVD a global company. So LVD is a global company presented in over 47 countries around the world and with over 1,000 employees. Wherever you are, we are near to you. The 47th country is our new subsidiary is Vietnam. And what makes the LVD? It's the people. So LVD Group in Belgium, we are about 400 people, and which is around the 450 employees from 13 nationalities and 12 languages. Whereas LVD Group, we are 1,250 people with 30 nationalities and 30 languages. So with this, I would like to conclude, and our motto is that sheet metal, our passion, your solution. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for sharing the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have presentations from the representatives of the Indian steel industry. May I now invite on stage our first speaker, Mr. Dhananjay Negi, Head of Sales and Marketing, UAE Region, JSW Steel.
Hi, good afternoon, all the senior members of the steel fraternity and my dear friends. A brief overview about the company, about the JSW Group. We are one of the India's largest integrated steel manufacturers, and we have an established capacity of 26 million tons per annum right now. We have another company called JSW Infra, wherein we produce approximately 4.6 gigawatt of thermal, hydro, renewable energy. Then we have an in-house paint company which is known as JSW Paints, and it has an operational capacity of approximately 130,000 kiloliters per annum. It is the only fully automated plant which is water-based in India. Then we have a cement company which produces approximately 14 million tons per annum of cement. And then we have an infrastructure company which handles approximately 9 ports, and the operational capacity as of now is approximately 170 million tons. I'm sorry for the figure. And it is going to be listed within a period of 2 years. These are some of the plants. Our plants are located across India. We have a few plants outside also. One is in Italy, Piombino, and the other one is in Baytown, where we have a plate and pipe mill. Few of our products are as below. We produce hot rolled, coated, color coated, tin plate, cold rolled, electrical steel. The applications vary as per the product. Now coming to hot rolled, the main thing which is used in steel fabrication is our hot roll. In hot rolled, I mean, if we talk about India, India is the second largest producer as well as consumer of steel. The per capita consumption of steel is approximately 75 kg in India, whereas it is one third of what globally is used. If we compare UAE and India, the ratio is like 1:10. For every 75 kg of steel consumed in India, UAE approximately consumes 800 kilos. So we are far behind. And with respect to jobs, if we see, we in India have, I mean, because of steel industry, there are 0.5 million direct jobs and 2 million indirect jobs. Now, if we look at the forecast and see the sectorial distribution of UAE and India for the next 30 years, for infra and construction, UAE is going to consume 92% of the steel that is imported or being produced here. For India, it is going to be approximately 65%. In UAE, the general engineering consumption is going to be approximately 3%, and in India, it's going to be approximately 25%. Now, coming to the fabrication part, if we talk about the global scenario, between 2020 and 25, the growth rate CAGR is going to be approximately 5.5% for the steel fabrication industry. It was once rated at 5.5 million, but right now if we talk about it, I mean by 2024 it's going to be approximately worth 24 billion. And the main facilities which are going to help grow fabrication are like Senthil sir also said. The first thing is automation. You increase your productivity, reduce the man hours also. And I mean, we have examples of like, I mean, it is not only in HR, I mean, in downstream products, you see drum and barrel manufacturers and the other people also. They have got automated lines in UAE. India is still to catch up with respect to that. Apart from automation, another very new thing is 3D printing, which was unheard of 5 or 6 years ago. Now, I mean, for the engineers, they can build, design and assemble the thing at the very same time. So, I mean, the famous example right now is that of SpaceX, the company owned by Elon Musk. I mean, the metal parts which were used in the combustion chamber for their rocket was made out of this 3D printing. So, I mean, it's a very reliable thing and it can be used. The other thing is growth in manufacturing. Now, if we talk about growth in manufacturing, see, I mean, the fabrication industry simply is a subset of steel, steel production. So, if the production of steel goes down, automatically the work of the fabrication industry also goes down. So, for that, we have initiatives like Make in India by Government of India or UAE Vision 2040, wherein the steel fabricators as well as the steel companies know what the government is going to do for them. Then there are going to be new innovations. If they are going to facilitate investment, the fabricators are also going to put in money for growing their companies. If we talk about structural steel, the structural steel, anything which you see ground up, like your shopping malls, your houses, your buildings, they all are made from steel. So steel is the best choice for the engineers right now, especially structural steel, because if we talk about the durability of structural steel, you have YES ranging from 180 MPa up till 1000 MPa. I mean, it can be used as per the requirement of the customers, and usually the shelf life of a building which is well built with the help of structural engineering is at least 30-40 years before it is renewed. Then if we see the sustainability part, I mean, the steel used in producing, the steel which is used in producing these structures is 100% recyclable, not maybe to 100%, but at least at up to 90 or 99%. It can be reused. Then if we talk about cost effectiveness, steel strength and dependability influence the overall return on investment, which is being done by the companies. And then if we see about safety, I mean, there are many things like steel usually is non-reactive to many elements, so it does not hamper your safety risk. And the other good thing is the design flexibility. I mean, we can see many buildings which are built in UAE, I mean, like the Museum of the Future and others, wherein those shapes cannot be given by any other material. And then if we talk about, sorry, it's very slow. what we are doing right now is our share of value-added products, if you see, it has gone up from financial year 16 when it was 35% to 61% in FY22. So we are adding up a lot of value-added products now. If we talk about coated, our capacity has doubled. It has gone straight away from 3 million up to 5.5 million right now. Color coated is approximately 2.2 million, and we are adding a new capacity for tin as 2.9 million. Excuse me. The coated capacity is approximately 5.5 million. That of color coating is approximately 2 million, and we are adding an additional capacity of 0.25 million of tin plate. And as we talk about fabrication, fabrication is not only for buildings, but I mean for us it is like the small manufacturers, duct manufacturers in UAE who do the cutting, bending, sharing. So it is the ideas which come from their side, on basis of which we design different grades or products. So these are some of the few products designed in the Q3 of financial year 22. Like, I mean, there was solar panel structural support also which was done. There was generator core which was developed, crankshaft rod, connecting rod, and these are the few key industries which we are serving in Middle East. PEB, HVAC, wherein the material goes for ducting, dampers and all. Pipe and tube manufacturers, we are giving material to the re-rollers for galvanized and color coating. Drum and barrel manufacturers, wherein they produce paint, lubricants, oils, and for can manufacturing, that is specifically our tin plate. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Negi, for sharing the presentation. May I now invite our next speaker, Mr. Anirban Das Gupta, Director in Charge, Bhilai Steel Plant, Steel Authority of India Limited, to kindly share his perspective with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen sitting in this auditorium, it's indeed a privilege to be addressing this August gathering in India Pavilion in Expo 2020, Dubai. I was just contemplating that this topic today is what the Indian industry can bring to the table for the fabricators in UAE and in this region. So I think my previous speakers, esteemed speakers, they have covered all the bases. I have little to add, but as India, we can offer you any grades of steel which you need. We have the technical capability, and as Mr. V. S. Sharma has told in his address that consume less, and consume less means we have to go for high strength steels for fabrication. So that for the same structure we need less steel. I mean, they say if Golden Gate Bridge is built today, it will consume half of the steel than what it was used when it was built. So we are working on high strength steels, and I think with the fabricators and with the equipment manufacturers for fabricators, we have two esteemed such equipment manufacturers who are manufacturing such high quality equipment for the fabrication industry, what kind of design changes, what kind of alloy design we must do for these high strength steels, not only alloy as well as thermomechanical rolling, accelerated cooling, post rolling heat treatment, and what needs to be done so as to make steel more efficient, more environment friendly, consumption less means less CO2 emission, yet achieve the purpose for it for which it is being fabricated. So this is I think this is the collaborative platform we can build with the fabricators, work with the equipment manufacturers, work with the fabricators, work with the steel researchers, work with the steel producers, so that we can really design a steel which is most appropriate for fabrication for different shapes, square, rectangular, tubular, or even say for conventional H beams, I beams, whatever you, and also plates. So this gamut of fabrication, and I am coming from Bhilai. It's in the district Durg, and Bhilai Durg district has the distinction of having the maximum number of bridge fabricators. So in India, a lot of bridges are getting built, steel bridges, and we are working closely with this bridge fabricators, that what way we can help them so that they can efficiently build bridges as fast as possible for Indian various locations, including in the Himalayas. Those bridges are getting served with sub-zero temperature usages, so those kind of metallurgical properties which needs to be built in those bridges, so that don't fail under those sub-zero temperatures, even in say minus 40 degrees Celsius, minus 50 degrees Celsius. Those are being made part of the engineering which are being done to develop those kind of plates which will be appropriate for bridge making. And I'm sure that so I also take this opportunity for the fabricators to visit our plants in India, see for yourself what kind of steel is getting made in India, and the perception of that the Indian steel probably is a very big steel industry, but not so as far as quality is concerned. But the perception, I'm very sure, will go see change when you come and visit us. You name the steel, we can make it. We have the technology, we have the equipment, and only thing we need to sit together in a collaborative manner so as to find out the right solutions for most efficient fabrication for our future. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Das Gupta, for delivering a notable address. May I now invite on stage our next speaker, Mr. Dipankar Patra, Chief Structural Design, and Shri Prakhar Agarwal, Business Head, Tata Steel Limited.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, all. Welcome to this seminar. Today, our discussion agenda is what from India we can offer for the fabrication industry here in Dubai, and how collaborative way we can work together. So definitely in India we have a vision of increasing our steel production within next 10 years, next 15 years, and Tata Steel also working in that way. Obviously, our previous speakers have stressed upon using of thinner sections like hollow roll sections. Tata Steel is producing those. Tata Steel is producing higher grade of steels and everything. So Tata Steel, actually we have a tagline that we also make steel in Tata Steel. Just I want to impress upon you that we also design. We have a design facility also. So our steel plants we design on our own. In our Kalinganagar steel plant, the expansion project, phase 2 expansion project, 2.5 lakh ton of structural steel. Of that, at least 50% we have designed in-house. And out of the 50 to 60% steel have been produced by Tata Steel on. So we are a scarcity of fabricators, good fabricators there in India. So I think Dubai, Middle East can play a big role here. Just I request Mr. Prakhar to take us forward, then I will come back again.
Thank you. Hi everyone, a very good afternoon and welcome to all the delegates and guests. Thank you, Vicky, for arranging this session. So just to start with, I'll put up a note from our founder. In a free enterprise, the community is not just another stakeholder in business, but it is in fact the very purpose of its existence. And with this note, we are involved in building the society, giving back to the society whatever we take. So we are a global conglomerate. We are the 11th largest producer of steel with around 34 million tons of capacity, more than 65,000 employees, and a revenue of around $21 billion. Few inspiring facts on steel. So if we look at Middle East, we have been able to supply steel to around 25 iconic pavilions that you would be visiting or would have visited already. So Tata Steel has been involved in many of the iconic projects that you see around in UAE and Dubai. We have also been involved in the first blockchain transaction that we have been able to successfully do with few of our buyers. So lately we have been involved in a few acquisitions, and these acquisitions have actually helped us in building our capability to serve you all better. With the acquisition of Bhushan, with the acquisition of NINL and Usha Martin, we have been able to increase our capacity to supply you various materials. And of course, a thicker and high tensile material also is now getting added with Kalinganagar plant doing more better. So what we produce for India, so we are into HRCR, galv and other coated materials along with wires and tubes. We are looking at primarily market and construction, automotive, general engineering, and of course industrial products. With Europe, we have been able to add few of our further coated products, and we are giving out Comflor, Celsius and few more brands here. So yes, you would have already utilized some of these brands here in UAE. What we have lately entered into is we have taken a membership with the Construct Steel, which is part of the World Steel Association. So we are looking at how we can actually build our steel better and be ready for what you want to do tomorrow. So we are closely working with the WSA, and we are looking at how we improve our products, how we actually get into different solutions, how we ready ourselves to design these solutions to serve the steel fabricators and also the consumers much better. So to sum up, these are our products, solutions and services that we are catering today. If we speak of HR, we are actually looking at high tensile material. We have already started to produce HS 800 with a YS of around 800, 850 and UTS of around 1000 MPa. And with this, I'm sure many of your requirements which are otherwise arising in PFS would actually get catered to. Yes, sir said that we should be looking at tubular structures, RHS, HHS. So we have started to do more of that. We at present have been able to do only 400 by 400. That is the max we are looking. But yes, with that requirement, what we have been able to give, we have been able to cover majority of the airports which are there in India. To say around 40 airports we are present in. Then we have started to look into solutions. So we are giving out solutions to our customers. So in a way, when we are going downstream, we are actually trying to learn from what our customers feel. So when we are giving out Smart Fab, which is a welded wire mesh, or a Ready Build, which is cut and bend solution, we also learn continually from them. Recently, the business which I also had, Neston business, we are giving out modular solutions. We are making hospitals, we are making multi-specialty buildings, we are making G+4 mid-rise buildings with light gauge steel framing, and also hybrid construction, which is actually pushing us to move from PFS to already rolled section and now tubular sections. Yes, the products and services what we people have been speaking of, the value in use, we are actually involved heavily, especially with automotive sector, where we are looking at how we improve the consumption of steel. As Mr. Sharma also said, that we should be looking at consume less. So yes, that is how exactly we have been working with our automobile industry, and of course looking in future we should be working with our structural teams or our steel fabrication partners also, how we actually design together, how we improve the overall output of design using various softwares and the various kind of steel that we can produce. This a snapshot of what we have been doing with involvement of our structural consultants. So we have been designing airports with them. We have been involved in Worli Sea Link and Statue of Unity, to name a few. When the COVID hit us hard, we have been able to also give out COVID hospitals to our government enterprises and various communities. So yes, over to you.
So it is actually the design part I was telling about. So we have been involved in design. We have a strong design team, and we are doing our own steel plants design on our own. Of course, where technical collaboration is required, like blast furnace, sinter plant, pellet plants, so there we are having technical collaborations. but the structural part, civil part, utility part, etc., where the service engineering, what we call, there we are getting involved in-house. With our in-house capacity, we have developed that. So in future also we will be doing that, and we will have a huge requirement of fabricated steel of both roll type and prefab buildings and welded structures, automated fabrications. So all these things we require. So here next. So basically we are standardizing the types of structurals to be used for heavy industry like steel plants or rolling mill plants, etc. So there we can have a collaboration with this area Middle East, so that we can have the direct fabricated items there in Tata Steel or in India in other parts by supplying the material and having the fabricated material there in India, or you can set up your own plants there with your all automotive facilities and all these things. So that's all from our side. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Patra and Mr. Agarwal, for sharing the presentation and your views on collaboration opportunities with the steel fabrication industry in UAE. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to hear from our chief guest. It gives me immense pleasure to invite on stage Mr. Gopal Krishnan Ganeshan, Deputy Secretary, Ministry of Steel, Government of India, to kindly give the address.
Sorry, just a second. Yeah. So, good afternoon, all of you here, leaders from the steel industry from India as well as the UAE, and our team from FICCI. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for inviting me here in this interaction between the users, steel fabricators and steel producers from India. So it was interesting to hear what solutions you offer for the industry from both the sides. So I will taking cue from what our minister has been emphasizing over the last 2-3 days. If I mean, most of you have heard from him through the press or individually, what he has been emphasizing is on more collaboration and take full advantage of the SEPA agreement that Indian government has signed. We being the second largest producer of steel, and we having targets to increase capacity for the domestic market. We, as the one of the speaker has mentioned, we want to the intention is to double the capacity from the current 143 odd million tons of steel production. And as you know, our industry is in kind of a expansionary mode. Because it's not, of course, it's not just the target or national steel policy, but genuinely there has been a lot of demand that the industry is seeing because of various infrastructure projects which have been either announced already, or it is announced or already in pipeline, and things have been said, DPRs have been floated and so on. So considering all these, there has been a lot of demand for fabricated structures on one side, and the technology, associated technology for the steel processing, and the other, you are all familiar with what is happening in India. That is on one side. On the other side, what we as government see from the discussions that have been going on here is that UAE is more of a consuming market one. Second is UAE is a very good base, as we can see, for the companies, both from the Indian steel producers as well as the local fabricators, to set up some logistics base to expand to the other key markets which are up and coming, such as Saudi Arabia, which we are told, of course, we need to gather more data about it, but we are told ki they are in a huge expansionary mode with respect to specifically infrastructure. So how we can take advantage or draw from the experiences from back from India and UAE, and how we can set foot and how we can expand in the Middle Eastern, North African region is something that we can ponder over. And as regards technology, technological collaboration and technological upgradation, one of the speakers mentioned about Mr. Negi, to be specific, he was mentioning about the 3D printing technology which is being experimented with steel. So there may be other such processes, and of course we have a study group to find out how industry 4.0 can operate in steel industry. That I think that is a different story altogether. But then right now I think this 3D printing kind of technologies are kind of becoming more relevant and more mainstreaming kind of technologies. So probably in near future or so we can expect more such processes, technological process coming up, and how we can adapt to the changing environment with respect to technology is something that we need to see. And finally, what we have heard from the minister. I'm only reiterating what he has already mentioned. We are trying to create as much as possible the policy and conducive policy environment to support the industry. So if there are specific suggestions and specific inputs that the industry would like to give, we are always open to hearing from the industry, because you are the drivers of economy and we just need to facilitate what you can offer to the country, both the consuming and producing country like India. So thanks for the opportunity, and I really wish good luck to all of you. And we only would like to see more such collaborative or interactive sessions where we can from where we can actually use these as the base and further our industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed our pleasure to hear from you. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite on stage Mr. Arpan Gupta, Joint Director and Head, Mines, Metals and Cement Division, FICCI, to kindly deliver the formal vote of thanks.
So thank you so much, and once again a very good afternoon to all of you. I have been invited to deliver the formal vote of thanks, and we have been hearing about the steel industry, steel fabrication and the collaboration opportunities between the two countries for the past 1 hour or so. So let me just focus on my job of proposing the formal vote of thanks. So at the outset, I would like to thank the Ministry of Steel, under the aegis of which this Steel Week at India Pavilion at Dubai Expo has been organized. Special thanks to our Honorable Minister Shri Ramchandra Prasad Singh Ji, Union Minister of Steel, Government of India, Srimati Ruchika Chaudhary Govil Ji, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Steel, along with other senior officials, and our today's chief guest Shri Gopala Krishnan Ganeshan Ji, Deputy Secretary, Ministry of Steel, without whose continuous guidance, support, various initiatives and the kind of perspectives that they have given in the last 1 month or so, this Steel Week at India Pavilion would not have been possible. And today's session on steel fabrication was also one such idea which came from various discussions that we used to have with the ministry on how to make it more mutually beneficial and collaborative, both from the Indian side as well as the UAE side. So a big thanks to the Ministry of Steel and all the concerned team officials who have supported in this endeavor for Steel Week at India Pavilion. In terms of today's technical session, while we were talking about how we can collaborate for the steel fabrication industry, our chief guest Shri Gopal Krishnan Ganeshan ji highlighted that how we can leverage the SEPA for a strong, or I should say a stealing relationship between the two nations of India and UAE in terms of how we can increase, how we can leverage the increase in the demand for various projects and initiatives. He also highlighted about the UAE infrastructure, the growth that is happening in the UAE infrastructure, and how Indian steel producers and how the local steel fabricators can participate into it via mutual collaboration. Our co-chair, Shri V.R. Sharma ji, who is also the managing director JSPL, he highlighted about the technical product profiles across the industry players, not restricting only to JSPL but to all the entire Indian steel industry. He also highlighted upon how steel fabricators, what is the future of steel fabrication in the UAE region, and how we can leverage the various infrastructure initiatives that the local region is undertaking. Mr. Senthil Kumar, he highlighted upon the need for automation, which is very much the need for today's when we are talking about combating the challenges that the fabrication industry is being facing. Mr. Rakesh Gupta, he showed some presentation. He showed presentation on the fabrication machinery and how steel is being brought to life in terms of the fabrication. Then we heard from the Indian steel producers, starting with Mr. Dhananjay Negi, JSW. He talked about how fabrication industry, while the demand is low for steel in UAE, how the fabrication industry can support again in terms of various infrastructure projects that the region is having. Mr. Anirban Das Gupta from SAIL highlighted upon the capabilities of SAIL for fabrication industry. He also talked about the alloy designs for high strength steel, which is very much the requirement of the fabrication. In terms of the Indian steel producers, we lastly heard from the Tata Steel, again highlighting upon the various product portfolios, and that was basically the purpose for today's technical session, that if we can understand the need of the local UAE fabricators along with the product profiles of the local steel producers, then we can look forward towards a mutual collaboration. So they highlighted upon the product portfolios across hot rolled, cold rolled, coated and structural steel products. In a way, the technical session that we organized today, the basic purpose was to identify what would be the requirements of the fabrication industry, what would be the prospects that our players can produce them, what would be the product profiles, and how we can collaborate. So I would like to thank all the participants for today joining us in this particular session. All the participants who have joined us in the last 4 days during the Steel Week, be it the G2B meetings or the various technical sessions that we have held. Also, my special thanks to all the media friends who have covered us in a huge way in the last 4-5 days, all the organizers who have supported us, the core team, the everyone who has made this Steel Week a great success. Thank you so much for being a part of this Steel Week, the steel success that we are witnessing. Thank you everyone, thank you so much. Let's join for the networking opportunity. The basic purpose of this technical session, and everyone can collaborate among ourselves, among each other, and we can have interactions which can look forward for the mutually beneficial relationships in future. Thank you so much. Thank you.